Okay, let's unpack this because today we are wading into some waters that I honestly didn't expect to be this deep.
Not at all.
We're looking at a conversation that starts with something you essentially expect from a stand-up set, jokes about dating apps, weird Hinge profiles,
Right.
but somehow, and I mean somehow, it ends up being this profound meditation on obsession, the trap of success, and why we're all so miserable even when we're winning.
It really is a fascinating pivot. We're diving into a discussion between the podcaster Chris Williamson and the comedian Trevor Wallace.
Yeah.
And on the surface, you might think, okay, two guys talking shop, cracking jokes, but they actually managed to diagnose a very specific, very pervasive modern condition.
Totally. And the hook that got me, and I think this is where it gets really interesting, is this concept they bring up right at the start.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the gamification of neurodivergence,
Mm-hmm.
specifically why autism has suddenly become a buzzword on dating apps.
It's a trend that is impossible to ignore if you've been online in the last, 2 years? It's everywhere.
Right. So Williamson brings up this observation that men on apps like Hinge are increasingly saying they're looking for a slightly autistic woman.
And Trevor Wallace, being the comedian, he calls it out immediately. He drops this phrase that just stopped me in my tracks.
What was it?
He calls it stolen valor.
Wow. Which is a heavy term to use. Usually stolen valor is for someone wearing a military uniform they didn't earn.
Exactly. But in this context, Wallace is arguing that people are appropriating a diagnosis because it's become, trendy or cool to be different.
It's wild. He shares this hilarious but also kind of revealing story from his childhood.
Oh, yeah, I remember this part.
Apparently, he wanted to be unique so badly that he pretended to be colorblind in school. He would literally walk around, point at blue things, and ask if they were gray, just to have a thing.
And that is the crux of his argument, right? It's the desire for the identity marker without the actual struggle that comes with it. Wallace points out that when guys say they want a partner with a touch of the tism, they aren't looking for the sensory processing issues or the meltdowns.
Or the social isolation.
None of it. They're looking for the touch, the quirkiness, the hyperfixated passion without the actual autism.
It feels like the manic pixie dream girl trope, but like rebooted for the 2020s.
Totally. And Williamson points out that what these men are actually attracted to is passion. They want someone who's niche, someone who cares about something so much that it just consumes them.
And they contrast this meme version of autism with the reality you see in a show like Love on the Spectrum.
Yes, Wallace talks about how much he loves that show because the cast members are genuinely passionate, whether it's about dragons or swords or, buses.
There's no social performance there. It's just pure, unadulterated interest.
Exactly. Whereas on Hinge, you got people saying, oh, I'm so awkward, I can't make eye contact, when really, as Wallace puts it, they're just chronically online and haven't spoken to a human in 3 months.
It's a performance of awkwardness because they think it makes them relatable.
And it raises this important question about how we label personality traits now. We've sort of medicalized being shy or being passionate.
But there's also a double bind here that Williamson highlights, which I think is really insightful about modern dating etiquette.
Oh, the damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario.
Precisely. Williamson notes that if a man says, I like autistic women, he gets accused of fetishization.
Right. But if he says, I don't date autistic women, he's being exclusionary or ableist.
It's so similar to the body positivity discourse. You essentially can't state a preference without it becoming political.
So people end up just playing this weird middle ground, using coded language.
It's fascinating how we try to navigate these social minefields. So, okay, we start with this cultural observation that we're all trying to be special on apps, but then the conversation shifts gears.
It really does.
And it shifts into something that I gotta say hit me way harder, and that is the psychology of success and this idea of obsession.
This is where they move from the external world of dating performance to the internal world of the high performer. And they land on a philosophy that I think every young professional, honestly, anyone with ambition, needs to hear.
What is it?
They call it model the rise, not the result.
I wrote that down and I circled it 3 times. Model the rise, not the result.
Break that down for us, because it sounds counterintuitive. I mean, usually we want the result.
It's a common trap, right? You look at someone successful, say a Fortune 500 CEO or a famous comedian like Trevor Wallace, and you see their life now.
Right. They're preaching work-life balance, family time, meditation.
All of it. So as a 23-year-old starting out, you try to copy that routine. You think, To be successful, I need to meditate and take weekends off.
But that is not how they got there.
Exactly. You're copying the maintenance phase, not the building phase. The behavior that got them to the top was likely obsessive, unbalanced, and just intense.
And Wallace admits this freely. He says he still struggles to turn his work brain off.
Yeah, that was wild. Even when he's arguing with a partner, part of his brain is detached, thinking, is this a bit? Can I use this for content?
That sounds exhausting, but also kind of necessary. They break down the difference between motivation, discipline, and obsession. And I love these definitions.
They're so clear.
So clear. Motivation is, I want to do the thing. Discipline is, I tell myself to do the thing.
And obsession is, I can't not do the thing.
I can't not do the thing. That is the fuel. Williamson argues that when you're young, this obsession is free fuel. It's abundant energy.
So you shouldn't be trying to dampen it with balance just yet.
No, you should burn it while it's abundant.
That's a compelling argument. It's basically saying, don't try to put the brakes on a rocket ship that's just trying to break orbit.
But here it comes with a cost.
Of course.
Wallace shares a great anecdote about the downside. He sleeps with his AirPods in because he is terrified of losing an idea in the middle of the night.
This made me laugh out loud. He wakes up, dictates an idea that he thinks is pure gold.
And then in the morning, he checks his phone, and it's just gibberish.
The example was literally, you should lay in a hammock more.
Which is just perfect irony. His obsession with productivity woke him up to record a note about needing to relax.
But this leads to what Williamson calls the unteachable lesson. Obsession is incredible for your career. It's the engine of greatness, but it is corrosive for your personal life. You can't turn it off at dinner.
You can't compartmentalize it. It leads into everything.
And there's a nuance here about creativity, too. They talk about white knuckling.
Right. You can white knuckle your way through emails. You can force yourself to do admin work or fill out spreadsheets.
You cannot white knuckle a creative spark.
That's a crucial distinction. Creativity is perishable. If you have an idea, you have to act on it right then.
I feel that. Wallace talks about the pain of sitting on a video idea, not shooting it because he was tired or off the clock.
And then seeing someone else go viral with the same concept a week later.
Ugh, the worst feeling.
But you can't force that spark to appear just because you scheduled creative time from 2 to 3 p.m.
So you have to be ready to catch it when it falls. Which, I think, segues perfectly into the next big theme they cover, the casino effect of social media.
Oh, yeah.
Because if creativity is the spark, social media is the slot machine you feed it into.
That is a perfect analogy for the content creator economy, but it applies to anyone seeking external validation.
For sure.
Wallace compares posting a viral video to hitting a jackpot at a casino.
The first time you hit 1 million views, it's like winning big. It feels amazing. The lights go off, the coins drop. But then
you're chasing the dragon. You've set a new standard. Now, every time you post, you aren't just sharing your art. You're pulling the lever on the slot machine.
And if it doesn't hit that 1 million mark, you feel like a failure.
It creates a standard that you fear you can't replicate.
And this creates that paralysis we talked about earlier. Wallace mentions freezing up after his first big viral hit on Vine because he was terrified the next thing wouldn't be as good.
He was paralyzed by his own success.
And Williamson brings in a financial analogy here that I think is brilliant. Signal versus noise.
Yeah, talk about that.
Imagine you're trading stocks. Okay, I'm picturing myself in a fleece vest, looking very stressed at multiple monitors.
Perfect. Now, if you check the stock price every 30 minutes, what do you see?
Mostly noise. Tiny fluctuations, up a cent, down a cent. It doesn't actually mean anything, but it stresses you out.
But if you check it once a month, you see the signal, the actual trajectory. Is it going up or down over time?
And creators, or really anyone obsessed with metrics, are checking the stock price every 30 seconds.
Every 5 seconds. Wallace admits he refreshes his videos constantly. He lets the metrics determine his mood for the day.
If the line goes up, he's happy. If it stalls, he's miserable.
Which is just a recipe for misery. You're prioritizing noise over signal. You're letting the random fluctuations of an algorithm dictate your self-worth.
This also ties into the paradox of choice, right? They bring up Barry Schwartz. I remember reading about this years ago, but it feels more relevant than ever.
Yes, the classic jeans example. 50 years ago, you could buy one type of jeans. They were stiff, uncomfortable.
Right, but if they didn't fit perfectly, you blamed the jeans. You said, stupid jeans.
Exactly. Today, there are 50 types. Boot cut, skinny, relaxed, acid wash. If you buy a pair and they aren't perfect,
you blame yourself because you assume there must have been a perfect choice and you failed to find it.
And just apply that to dating or creative choices. We have infinite options, so we're constantly terrified we're making the suboptimal choice.
Which leads to this heavy concept of deferred happiness syndrome.
This is the emotional core of their conversation, I think.
I agree.
Deferred happiness syndrome is the feeling that your real life hasn't started yet. That the present is just a prologue, a waiting room for some future where you'll finally be happy.
I'll be happy when?
Trap.
I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy when I sell out the theater.
But the tragedy, as they point out using a reference from the author Morgan Housel, is that the golden years only exist in the past.
This part really got me. Housel talks about how he and his wife look back on their early days, broke, stressed, living in a tiny apartment as their golden years.
But at the time, they were miserable. They were stressed about rent, worried about their careers.
Exactly. We romanticize the struggle in hindsight. We look back and say, oh, we were so free. We had so much potential.
But while we're in it, we're just looking over the shoulder of the present moment, waiting for the next big thing.
And Wallace admits he walked past a photo of himself at a huge career milestone, the Paramount show, and realized he didn't feel the joy in the moment.
Because he was already worrying about the next show.
He calls it nexting. You're physically in the room doing something amazing, but your brain is already on the next thing. You're scrolling through your own life.
And that is the danger of that obsessed mindset. It drives you to success, yes. It gets you the Paramount show. But it also robs you of the ability to enjoy it.
It's like you're climbing a mountain, but you never turn around to look at the view.
You're just staring at your boots, making sure you don't trip. It's tragic.
Speaking of staring at things, we have to talk about the car crash, or the car crash appeal. This was a bit of a detour in their talk, but it fits perfectly.
Yes, the Charlie Sheen and Kanye West segment.
This was fascinating. They discuss why we're so obsessed with public figures who are clearly spiraling.
They propose a theory: talent forgives sins.
Talent forgives sins. That's a powerful phrase. Meaning what exactly?
Meaning that the public is willing to overlook erratic, even dangerous or offensive personal behavior, as long as the output is excellent.
So if Kanye drops a slammer of an album, the controversy just fades away.
Right. Or if Charlie Sheen is funny on a sitcom, the breakdown becomes a quirk.
Williamson calls it the car crash analogy. We aren't watching to help them. We aren't watching out of concern.
No, we're watching to see if they can land the plane or if they're going to crash and burn.
It's entertainment derived from potential downfall. It's a spectator sport.
And Wallace notes that it's actually more interesting to watch someone teeter on the edge than to watch someone stable and healthy. A stable genius is boring.
An unstable genius is a show, which is dark, but it's true. We want to see if they can pull it off.
Can you be crazy and successful? Because if you're just crazy, you're a tragedy. But if you're crazy and talented, you're a legend.
Until you stop being talented.
That's the catch, isn't it?
That is the catch. The moment the work suffers, the forgiveness evaporates, the audience turns on you instantly.
So, bringing this all back together, we've gone from pretending to be colorblind to obsessively refreshing Instagram stats to watching celebrities self-destruct. What's the connective tissue here?
I think the through line is about the tension between performance and presence.
Say more about that.
Think about it. In the dating segment, we saw people performing autism or quirkiness to stand out rather than just being present and genuinely passionate.
All right, yeah, they're performing an identity.
And in the success segment, we see Wallace performing the role of the grinder. He's constantly nexting his life away, unable to just sit in the hammock and be
Just performing the rise. And in the creative trap, we're performing for the algorithm, hoping for the casino jackpot, rather than just focusing on the signal, the craft itself.
It feels like we're constantly trying to curate the external view of our lives rather than living the internal experience.
Exactly. It's a warning against living your life for the external feedback loop, whether that loop is a hinge match, a view count, or a sold-out theater.
If you're only modeling the result, the accolades, the numbers, you miss the actual experience of the rise.
And that connects right back to the golden years. If you're constantly waiting for the feedback, you miss the moment.
And you might look back in 20 years and realize, wait, I was young, I had energy, I was building something cool, and I spent the whole time stressed out about an algorithm.
That is terrifying, honestly, but also a great wake-up call.
It is. The takeaway isn't to stop working hard. Williamson and Wallace aren't saying you should just quit and do nothing.
No, you need the obsession. You need the drive to build something great.
But you have to manage it.
You have to recognize that the fuel of obsession is dangerous if you let it burn everything else down. Use the fuel, but don't let it consume the driver.
I love that. Use the fuel, don't consume the driver.
And maybe, just maybe, try to recognize the golden years while they're happening.
Right. Stop looking over the shoulder of the present moment. Stop waiting for the next thing to validate this thing.
Easier said than done, especially for high performers, but essential if you want to actually enjoy the success you're killing yourself to achieve.
So here is the final provocative thought for you to mull over today. If you're currently feeling stressed, overworked, maybe a little uncertain about your future, is it possible that you're actually in your golden years right now and you just don't know it yet?
And if you are, what would you do differently today to actually enjoy them?
Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.